Why in the world is the church not raising up the best leaders on the planet? We think leadership development is, well, I just need them to show up on Sunday on time, make sure they have their curriculum, and make sure they don't upset any parents. That's so short-sighted.
I asked you on here to talk about your book. I have a copy of it here for those watching on YouTube, The Multiplication Effect. This is such a great resource. I feel like, man, if I had had this 20 plus years ago, it would have saved me a lot of drama, because in the church world, you're either looking for volunteers or you are a volunteer, right? You're always trying to recruit, because the church is not designed to pay everybody, to hire everybody to be the church. We're called to use our gifts and to serve. But oftentimes what happens is you have one pastor who recruits a lot of volunteers, and then he feels the need to take care of them all. And inevitably, a few of them don't feel cared for and they just leave, or he gets burned out, or she gets overwhelmed, or whatever it is. Tell us what you've learned about leadership development, because there's a difference between recruiting volunteers and developing leaders. So let's just start right there. What is the difference, and what do people need to shift their mindset on when it comes to those two concepts?
Yeah, what I see so many times is a staff member says, okay, September's coming, the new semester's coming, the church is growing, I don't have enough leaders, or I just lost a few leaders, I need to find a few more. And so what they do is they begin to scan the seats of the church and go, okay, oh, that person's not ready, oh, he's not ready, she's not ready, oh, they're not ready. And then they find somebody, go, oh, they're ready. And they put them in a leadership position and go, okay, I just developed a leader. And I go, no, you didn't. That's leadership placement, not leadership development. And there's a world of difference between the two. If you really did observe a church for a whole year and you watch their behaviors, and just to assess what is their leadership development strategy? Most churches, their leadership development strategy is wait and hope. I'm going to wait and hope a good leader shows up so I can place them, instead of saying, hey, let's develop some leaders. And so many just don't do that, because what we do is we look at people for what they are today, not for what they could be a year from now if we poured into them. And that's what Jesus did. Jesus looked at these knucklehead teenagers and saw them for what they could be, not for what they were. And then he invested in them, and it was life-changing.
When I think leadership development, and you just mentioned this, the word investment, everybody kind of has something come to mind. It could be, oh, that's right, I need to set them down in a class and educate them. Or I just need to give them a book. Here, read this book, or we put together this training manual. Glance over that before you show up, which is usually in the car on your way here.
Right. So
how do you describe development? What does that look like? Because we all learn in different ways. We all experience things differently. We all teach in different ways.
Yep.
When you say development, what goes off in your mind?
Yeah, this is such an important question, because pastors, leaders need to understand how change happens, how transformation happens. Transformation is the effect of three overlapping factors. There is knowledge. Okay, so I have to learn the skill that I need to learn in order to do that role. So I've got to read something, listen to something in order to learn that. But then the second factor is experience. Now I've got to put it into practice. So if I'm learning to swing a baseball bat, I better get in the batting cage and practice. Or if I'm swinging a golf club, go out to the driving range and swing 1,000 times. So you got the knowledge, okay, I know I'm learning how to swing, I'm practicing or getting the experience of swinging, but now I got to have a coach. And that's somebody who's watching me, observing me, and I'm watching them. And so that you put those three factors together, knowledge, experience, coaching, that's how transformation happens. What the church does, the church says, oh, knowledge is good enough. Knowledge is good enough. And so what they do is say, hey, let us lecture to you on the weekend how to lead a small group, and then we'll put you in and let you lead a small group and give you the experience without the coaching. Here's what happens. So we give them the knowledge, which most of the time, by the way, is not thorough enough, and it's really fast. We put them in the position, and then a few weeks later, they come to you and they go, you know what, Aunt Rusty, I'm really busy. My schedule changed. I'm not going to be able to keep this commitment. and what we do is we look at them and go, I knew they weren't committed. They got a commitment problem. No, they have a confidence problem. People don't like to fail. And if they feel like they're failing, they quit because of lack of confidence, not because of lack of commitment. They want to succeed. They want to make kingdom impact and a kingdom contribution. But if they don't feel like they're succeeding in the role, they're just going to edge away from it because they don't feel like it's for them. Mm-hmm. And it's our fault,
That's
not
so
their
good.
fault, because we didn't develop them. I look for teachability, integrity, and passion. And so if they're teachable, fantastic. You can work with that. If they've got integrity so that they don't lose authority as a leader, if they have some integrity and people follow them, then I look for that. And then do they have a passion? Are they passionate about that area? Are they passionate about Christ? Are they passionate about leadership? And so you find somebody like that, and then you begin to walk with them and develop them over time. Oh my goodness. One of the first guys I ever developed, Roger, he came to me in my small group and he's like, Mac, I want to do what you do. I said, what do you mean you want to do what I do? I want to lead a group the way you do. We love each other. We're serving together. Life change is happening. There's such great community. And the whole time he's telling me this, I'm thinking, you can't do what I do. You're not ready, But he kept bugging me. And so finally I was like, all right, Roger, here's what we'll do. You show up 15 minutes early and plan on staying 15 minutes late every Friday night for group. He shows up the next week, 15 minutes early. I said, Roger, one of the most important things you can learn is how to build biblical community. Building biblical community requires 5 things. I walked him through the 5 things. I said, now let's go downstairs and I want you to watch me build community. Stay on my hip tonight. You watch everything I do. And then next week, we're going to host this at your house and I want to watch you interact. I want to watch you engage. And then we stayed 15 minutes afterwards. We debriefed it. What did you see me do well? What would you have done different? What questions do you have? And what did you learn tonight? Those 4 questions. And so we did that every week. And every week or every 2-3 weeks, I'd give him a new competency to focus on, facilitating discussion, leading the prayer time, whatever it was, connecting with people spiritually. And I would just walk him through that. And we would have those discussions. And 6 months later, we sent him out. He started his own group. And over half of my group went with him because they loved him. And so it's a huge win. Then he did the same thing with a guy named Dave. And now I'm scratching my head going, wow, I was looking for readiness. I should be looking for willingness.
You mentioned competencies. This is where I think a lot of us get hung up because we overestimate or underestimate what people need to know. You just mentioned this to some degree of, this is how you do it. Now go do your own. When it comes to competencies, what's a good working number as to how many things you should be able to have going into this or be prepared for? So it's not overwhelming. We're not asking you to memorize the Torah, but rather to kind of zero in on a few different basic necessities. What would that look like?
I brought a consultant in one time and I said, hey, we want to build out competencies for our small group leaders. And we built a list of 32. And so there's a lot needed. That's way too many. Here, when we're working with churches, here's what we help them do. We say, all right, take your leader position in children's ministry and identify the 5 core competencies to help them get a good start. Take your adult small group leaders, do the same thing. Your worship leader, your guest service leader, those 4 to 5 essential competencies to get a good start. Then you go to the next level of your pipeline, you do the same thing. If you call that level coach, what are the 5 competencies of a coach? Now, those will go across every ministry. Your next level of your pipeline might be director. What are the 5 competencies there for somebody to get a good start? And then you do ongoing development with other competencies. But what you want to do is you want to apprentice people in those basic competencies and then provide ongoing training once they're in that role that they can get the other competencies they need along the way, but give them the 5 basics to get them started.
One of the other things I've heard you talk about is not just kind of the training and development from that standpoint, but you got to have a moment where you inspire leaders.
Yeah.
Where you get them together, have some kind of a leadership event, whether that's a conference or a dinner or those kind of things. What's the key win there? Because here again, I think we miss it and we think, it's just got to be information overload. Oh. We're gonna teach everything we've ever learned today. What's the win there in one of those inspiration events?
Yeah. So let me give context for your listeners. So what we teach is there are three approaches. When I ask a church, what is your leadership development strategy? They'll look at me and go, we don't have one, or ours is organic, and which means they don't have one, right? And so what we do is we say, okay, you got to prepare your new leaders a certain way. You have to equip your existing leaders a certain way, and you have to inspire all of your leaders. It's a threefold approach to leadership development. Now, there's a lot of answers to this, so I'm just going to give you the one that most churches choose. They're going to prepare new leaders through apprenticing. They're going to do huddles with their existing leaders, and they're going to do a once-a-year conference for all of their leaders for the purpose of inspiration. Now, the win for the Inspire event is exactly what you said. It is not dumping more information on them. It is not just teaching them things they need to know about the church. It's not a what do you call that? Recognize and, we're thankful for you type of thing. It's not that. It's getting them in a room together for at least 90 minutes. And some churches will do this up to 4 hours. Some churches will do a Friday night, Saturday, 2-day event. But the goal is, hey, we are going to teach you a specific leadership competency that's going to make you a better leader at work, at home, and in the church, but we're connecting this to the greater kingdom vision of our church. So it's one leadership competency. We're going to drive it into you. We're going to inspire you around it. You're going to leave here going, oh my goodness, I'm ready to attack hell with a water gun, and these leaders leave charged up. When leaders this is such a missed opportunity. I talk to so many churches that we work with, and I say, hey, do you ever do an all leader gathering? No, we don't do that, or we've never done that. I'm going, oh my gosh, when you get all your leaders together, I believe God's up there rubbing his hands going, oh my goodness, something great could come out of this. And so we got to structure it in such a way that we're taking gasoline and we're pouring it on those folks, and we're lighting a Holy Spirit fire on them where they're going, oh my gosh, you just taught me soul care competency. I'm going to soul care for those in my group or my team. I'm going to soul care better for my family. I'm going to soul care for those at my workplace. Here's the bottom line, Rusty. Leadership development in the church, if we're dead honest, 99% of churches, leadership development is just simply teaching people to turn our ministry widget, when we should be teaching people to live a biblical lifestyle of leadership. I believe this with my whole heart, and I wish the church would get a hold of this. The church should be raising up the best leaders on the planet. We have the best leader that ever walked the earth. We have the best book ever written, and we have the Holy Spirit within us, and we have a culture that's fighting against everything God is for. Why in the world is the church not raising up the best leaders on the planet who are impacting and influencing the culture around them? We're thinking way too small. We think leadership development is, well, I just need them to show up on Sunday on time, make sure they have their curriculum, and make sure they don't upset any parents. My goodness gracious, that's so short-sighted. If you have them in your hand to do leadership development, for goodness sake, teach them to lead like Jesus. Otherwise, just send them the policy and procedure manual and tell them to read it. It's either that or get serious about teaching them how to lead like Jesus. And that'd be a game changer. It's discipleship. Leadership development is discipleship.